body on your body.
I wanna rub my body on your body.
I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body.
Rub my body on your body.
Let me rub my body.
Your body.
I just get paid. I want to play. The vibes is right. I wanna hug up tight. No time to waste. I wanna work my ways. So come on now, babes. Give me a taste. I wanna rub my body on your body.
I wanna rub my body on your body.
Let me rub my body on your body.
I wanna rub my body on your body.
I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body.
I wanna rub my body on your body.
Let me rub my body on your body.
I wanna rub my body on your body.
Well, you know, I'm feeling, 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 I'm feeling.
That little ditty we used to torment our teachers with when we were kids goes something like this. Onward, upward, Mary had a go. Day by day she tied it to a rope, till at length they got past the rope, and Miss Mary had to run behind it. We had a lot of fun with that, but do you actually know how beautiful these words are? Here's the Song of Guyana's Children by W. Hawley Bryant. Born in the land of the mighty Roraima, land of great rivers and far-stretching sea, so like the mountains, the sea, and the river, great, wide, and deep in our lives would we be. Onward, upward, may we ever go, day by day in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana sons and daughters can be. Born in the land of Kaijur, shining splendor, land of the palm tree, the croton and fern, we would possess all the virtues and graces, we all the glory of goodness would learn. Onward, upward, may we ever go, day by day in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana sons and daughters can be.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm.
All right. Hey, guess what? Good evening, and my name is Mark Benchap. We're going to rock and roll and straight up, which is what we do every night, Monday through Friday. All right. It's Monday, right? I almost forgot that it's Monday. I'm getting old, right? Hey, guess what? All you beautiful people, we've been getting some messages that folks who are listening to us on the ground, they want to have a call-in program. Folks on the ground, because that is where it matters, you know. At the end of the day, on the ground is where it matters. People want to see action on the ground. People, not just action for action's sake. They want results after the action. But we're going to get into that shortly, right? Let me just welcome you guys to the show. I hope you've had an enjoyable weekend. We'll be going with you solo. Yep, solo this evening. And that's because I was able to get me a Red Bull. So I got some energy this evening, right? And even if I go over the hour, do forgive me for those of you who want just an hour. But then there's some of you who are greedy. You want more than an hour. Well, this evening, I might just give you more than an hour right here on 107.1 FM. All right. Good evening to all of you, and especially those folks who have been affected by the, the storm out in the eastern part of the U.S., New York, New York City, New York State. I hope you guys are okay. Okay. So now let's head back to Guyana. But before I allow our executive producer to turn the switch on, so that the folks in Guyana can hear us on the ground. Somebody actually said that they do listen to Ben Shop's program. But one of the things that they do not like about Ben Shop's program, of course, they said they like the guy. Who wouldn't? Right? But they said that Ben Shop, we are, meaning Guyana and Guyanese. Guyana is a former British territory, and we speak proper English. But they just do not like the part when Ben Shop speaks in broken English or patois, so to speak. So I have promised the individual that if that person tells the other person who is a Guyanese, but a big position that person holds in the judicial system here in New York City, that if I were to stop speaking in broken English, meaning Guyanese, twang, that they will be able to watch the program a little longer. So I want to say good evening to all of you. And tonight's program, we've got quite a few things that we want to talk about. And all of my mates who are listening, including that person, let them know that they wouldn't hear not a Guyanese twang from me at all. But I also reminded the individual through a message or messenger, right? That the Jamaicans, when they have their talk shows, or the Jamaicans, the politicians, they remind you. Look, my good friend Una Clark, when she was running, first time she ran for city council seat in New York, that's Brooklyn. I was there with her. I supported. I ran around with her distributing flyers and so forth. But guess what? Una Clark, a politician, she was elected as New York's councilwoman. She's not the first person of Caribbean descent. The late Shirley Chisholm, Guyanese and Bajan roots, just like, what's her name, that singer, Rihanna, right? And I reminded that person that, look, the Jamaicans do it, the Bajans do it, the Trinidadians do it, others do it. So why is it that they expect of me and others, mind you, to sit here and not to even insert some Guyanese twang in the discussion? I don't know. I just can't understand. But I promise you guys that I'm not going to sit here and fold my leg and just be proper with you. We're going to have to break it down sometimes, right? But we as Guyanese, we want to be so proper. We want to be more proper than the Englishman or the English woman. I'm not going to be proper. We're going to get down to business. Good evening to all of you. Here's what's happening. Guess what? An Israeli company to establish office in Guyana. I repeat, an Israeli company to establish office in Guyana. And here's the big part of this. Big potential for investments in Guyana. Big, huge potential for investment in Guyana. What about the Guyanese? What about certain Guyanese? And we know who those certain Guyanese are, right? Who are being squeezed out of business, who are being discriminated against, and all these sort of things. But you have these individuals, they're running all over. They're running to Texas, they're running to Florida, they're running all over to bring their friends and people who look like them to Guyana. Or, oops, Ben Sharp is being racial. Ben Sharp is a racist. How dare someone speak the truth? And when you speak the truth, guess what? You're being labeled. But everybody else is getting that opportunity to go to Guyana, to invest in Guyana, to squeeze whatever, all of the juice, every single thing, the milk, everything out of Guyana. And then at the end, when they squeeze everything, whatever little drops, whatever little drip is there, guess what? That is what they are going to grab. The Guyanese politicians who are in control right now under questionable circumstances, that little drop, they're going to sprinkle around the place. And they're going to give you that impression that Guyana is developing. Look, the truth of the matter is, when you look around, and those of you who are visiting Guyana, or those of you who are in Guyana, when you look around your communities, your villages, wherever you are you seeing development? Now be honest, are you seeing development? Because the truth is, at the end of the day, the billions and billions of dollars wouldn't remain in Guyana. They're going out of Guyana. That is because you have a reckless regime, a regime that caters only for persons who can jump into the country and push their hands in their pockets and bribe some of those officials out in Guyana. They sit at Pegasus, they line, they go out, they go to karaoke, they go on that WHORE house on Brigham. You know that place. You all know that hotel, right? And they wine and dine with the little girls and all these things. And they're happy about that. But at the end of the day, you, the people, do not get the benefits that you should be getting. But here's where the opposition comes in now. The main opposition, that is the APNU AFC regime. Here's where they come in. Leadership matters at this point in time. We need to see the leaders of the coalition. We need to see more of them. They just can't expect that the people are going to hit the streets every day and just have placards and talk about racism on those placards, to talk about COVID, to talk about all these things. It's as though every day you're up and there's just protest here, protest there, whether it's 2, whether it's 3 persons or whatever, talking about COVID, talking about racism. Now, those things are good. Don't get me wrong. I love a protest. I love to protest. And I commend those people who are protesting. But we have to go beyond just that. Now, how do we go beyond just that? We need to see our leaders. We need to ensure that all of the leaders, now I'm not talking about the PACUs in the installed regime. I'm talking about those leaders in the opposition. We need to see them. Read between the lines. Read my lips. We need to see the leaders. We need the leaders to come out and talk to their support base. We need to have our leaders talk about empowerment, empowering their constituency. Now, I know somebody might say, how can you empower your constituencies or your constituency when you're not in power? You can do it. You can be able to squeeze the hands of these PACUs who are empowering their people, their supporters. They are empowered and they don't give a damn about that. Every single day, we see what they're doing. And it's not that they're giving their supporters a heck of a lot. They're giving their supporters crumbs. They're squeezing the crumbs. And they're sprinkling it around in their support, their strong support areas. They're doing that. So one of the coalition folks messaged me today and said, look what the PPP is doing with the cash. What is it? The COVID and the flood relief and all these things. They're in their communities and they're distributing monies, millions of dollars, left, right, and center, all over. That is what they're doing. And I'm like, are they really doing that? And are you guys going to sit down and send messages to people showing to your support base saying, look what the PPP is doing. They're giving their support base monies and all these things, cash grants. One simple thing I said, the PPP is doing what the PPP thinks they ought to do to their supporters, to their support base. The coalition should have done that too. There's nothing wrong with that. And this is not to say that the coalition didn't do anything for their support base. But anyways, the person just smiled. They got the message, right? They got the message. And speaking of the support base and all these things, look at these figures. Look at what is happening. And that is why when we talk about racism, here is where racism comes in. Here is the evidence. And I'm hoping that this information is in fact accurate. Until we have to say that it's accurate until proven otherwise. Now, I don't know who's going to prove this otherwise. Look at what's happening in regions 5 and 6. And you all know in region 5 and 6, right? I repeat, in regions 5 and 6. You know the support base there, right? Well, this is what is happening. In regions 5 and 6, the payouts, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, 10 million to exclusively known PPP supporters. And that is what the PPP is doing. Even though they're getting the crumbs and the billions is being sent out of the country, they're taking the little crumbs and they're not spreading this crumbs that they're getting equally in different regions. They're going directly to their support base and giving out that amount, right? 300,000, 500,000, 1 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, 10 million, and they're giving these things to people allegedly under fraud. Those who don't have no farms, no large-scale farms, they might have a small little kitchen garden, and they claim that they have lost all these things, and they're collecting hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably millions of dollars. Look, this is it. This is exactly what's happening. 8 people collected a total of $23 million. 2 persons in Port Morant, Line Path. And for those of you who don't know Line Path, that is Skeldon, right? Skeldon side. $3 million cash. All of these things and more happening in Guyana. Discrimination. But guess what they're going to do? They are going to jump now, and they're going to say that these guys are lying, meaning us guys are lying, because they are going to also try to prove that they're fair. So they're going to go to where? They're going to go into Buxton, and they're going to meet some farmers. Listen to this. They're going to go into Buxton, and they're going to meet some farmers, and they're going to take some photographs with about 10 or 15 farmers. They're going to give them a little 50,000, 25,000, 10,000. They're going to call up a couple of people. They're going to take their photographs, and they're going to splash it around in their controlled media houses, the newspapers, because they control all of those things in Guyana, right? And they're going to try to give that image, that impression that they're doing it for everybody. But the truth is, they're not. The crumbs that they're getting now, and they're rushing into their support base, and they're giving their support base millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. Then they go into Buxton, give crumbs, little bit. Then they're going to go to Linden, and they're going to give little bit, little bit. And then they're going to go to Ituni and Kokwani and those areas, and they're going to take photographs, and they're going to pretend to the world that all is well in Guyana. Look back at these figures. Region 5 again, 1 person allegedly, mind you, let the PPP prove us wrong. Region 5, 1 person got $8 million. 1 other person got 6 million, another one 5 million, another one 3 million, another one 2 million. 4 persons got 1 million each. A total of 9 persons cashed in. You see the amount there? A total of 9 persons cashed in $25 million. 25. I'm not looking at I'm not looking at your comments. I don't know what you guys are saying. I don't know if the trench crappos are out in their numbers, but that's okay. I know you guys can deal with the trench crappos in the comment section. Go right ahead. Just deal with them in the comment section, right? And this is what is happening in Guyana. Discrimination upon discrimination. They have done so with the COVID cash grant, and they're doing so with the flood relief money. And now, just a reminder about the COVID cash grant. They were supposed to have gone and give members of their household, what? $25,000, right? But you know, thousands of people have gotten pink slips. Pink slips. Then the regime, the PPP regime, said that they are going to go back, they are going to return. You know, it's kind of like a guy, and I'm sorry that I'm going to break this down, right? He doesn't want to look after his kids, that he promised he's going to go around the corner and he's going to be back. I'm sorry, all men are not like that. All men are not like that, right? Some women do disappear also and leave their kids, but, you know, for the most part, men gotta start picking up the slacks. Now, and then you go now to the corner store and you say, coming back just now. 5 years pass, you're not back. You're not back. But you hear that that child is doing so well in school, and you suddenly turn up to say, I'm a proud father, right? That's the PPP. elections time, they're going to want to return and say they're proud government. They have done all these sort of things for you, the people, when in fact they have left you stranded during the pandemic when you most needed them. But they're not there for you. They're not there for the people. So right now, thousands of people, thousands upon thousands of people are still waiting for the COVID cash grant. Sorry. They got their pink slip. They got their pink slip. When they turned up, when those persons who were distributing the cash with guns, policemen and big guns and all these things, they didn't care. They see two families, they're only giving it to the landlord, they're not giving it to the tenant. Fraudsters, a bunch of fraudsters. That's who they are. That's what they're about. They're not about the development of Guyana. They're not about racial harmony and all of these things. Forget about their talks about one Guyana. They're not. Forget about their talks about all these things. And then when folks attack them constructively and show the evidence, then they get all hurt in their feelings. But when they rebut, they can't make any sense because their hypocrisy is oftentimes exposed. We know them. In fact, all or most of them are like that. Very hypocritical. Good evening, Priya. The last person to talk about racist. The last person to talk about discrimination. The last person to lecture people about what language and what term they ought to use. The last person on earth to do that. And one of the biggest hypocrites we've got there in that installed regime is Priya. And so she deserves an award, our award, straight up award. She deserves that this evening as one of the biggest hypocrites. So while we're still on Priya, right? While we're still on Priya, here's what. Still on Priya. Do you know those guys in the photograph? Let me see if you know that guy. Let me say to you, all of you, that the guy on the right happens to be former president of the United States of America. That's not me. That is Barack Obama. The beautiful woman in the middle is Saskia Hart. I believe Saskia Hart. She is the wife of that guy, that Caucasian guy there, who is the former ambassador to Guyana, U.S. ambassador to Guyana, that Priya Manichan was in his house, invited as a guest, and cuss up this man in, of course, undiplomatic language about him meddling in their affairs and him this and he's unwelcome and this guy was embarrassed. He was caught off guard because he didn't expect that. He didn't. And of course, a lot of us who were there, we booed Priya Manichan, booed her, get the hell out of there, booed her because she has no shame. Absolutely not. And all this guy, Ambassador Brent Hart, all he was asking for is for local government elections to be held. Local government election. That's all the guy said. For 20-something years, they haven't held local government elections. 20-something years. And there she was, cussing out the man. I'm not sure if she's allowed on the grounds of any property or properties belonging to the U.S. government in Guyana. I'm not sure that she's allowed. I don't know. And these are the folks like to talk about decency. I don't get involved in people's families or whatever. I just don't. And I'm not going to, because even if I were to, then they have something in the US that is called anchor babies. Anchor babies. Let me see if some of y'all look at some of your comments to see whether some of you know what anchor baby or anchor baby, the term anchor baby means. Anchor baby. Well, I'll break it. For some of you who don't, anchor baby means when you leave your country and head to the United States, we'll make that as an egg. You head to the United States to give birth. It's called anchor baby. Now, you could expect that with persons who live in the U.S. Yes, they get baby, rightly so. And even those, if once you live in the U.S., if you and you're pregnant and you head back to Guyana, you head back to the U.S. to give birth, that is legit. It is legal. But not when you do not live in the U.S. You're just a visitor to the U.S., but you knowingly decide that you are going to come to the U.S. to give birth. It is called anchor baby. Anchor baby. I'm not calling any names, any nothing, or whatever. I'm not going to do that at all. To some of the PPP hypocrites, I'm not going to do that at all. What next can we move on to? All right, let me show you guys this photograph. But before we anyways, let's get right into it. Let's get right into this as a reminder. Last week, we spoke about this, right? Well, I am told that that guy in the middle, you guys know him, Priya Manik-Chan, that's him. I'm sorry. Priya Manik-Chan. Oh my gosh. My mouth slipped, tongue slipped, but I'm pretty sure for good reason, right? That's Anil. Yep, Anil. With those two law enforcement officers, sure that they are good men in their respective agency. So what Anil did was expose. He exposed those guys, the U.S. Marshal and the State Department law enforcement officer. Well, the State Department law enforcement officer has his mask on. But the guy, the Marshal guy, Anil actually blew his cover. He's an Indian. Well, I believe he was born in India, but he has been residing in America for probably, obviously, most of his life. So he's American, and he has a good job. But Anil blew his cover. I am told that Anil knew, or he knows, the mistake that he made, whether deliberate or not. And guess what? I'm told that he has apologized to the individuals. He has apologized for that. The other question now that is being ignored is the fact that he discussed with them on how to spy on persons residing in the United States of America, American citizens, etc. That is illegal. It's against the law. So now Anil might be treading up some muddy and murky waters. He's got to stop this. Nobody's really buying it. All right. This is what I now that I get that out of the way. There's so many things I want to talk to you guys about. But let's go to this one here. Let me see if you guys could recognize these two people. Well, of course, you see one of them looking like my good friend. He's still my friend, David Granger, former president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. But who is that lady? I'm just testing you guys to see if you know who that lady is, that woman is. who that woman is. Okay, somebody with the name GT Root Girl knows who that person is, the GCOM on her bottom, right? And this was last year in the Kaichor news, when they were so much against Claudette Singh. Freddie Kissoon, all of them were against Claudette Singh. Supporters of the PPP were threatening her, and even Claudette Singh was of the view then that a top financier of the PPP wanted to kill her or wanted her dead. But this is what Kaichor News did to her before they start loving her. You look at this, right? But Priya Manichan and all these other people, Freddie Kissoon and all of them, these self-righteous individuals today, they didn't give a damn about this article, this cartoon, and how it looked. And where it is that David Arthur Granger was taking her, not to a decent toilet, in a latrine. In a latrine they put that he was taking her. Well, Romel, please, one of the things that we are not going to do is to be like the PPP guys, them, right? Please, and I'm saying to you guys, watch your language. I know we're not in church or whatever, but we don't want this to be like a PPP kind of outlet. We're just not going to do that. Please, let's not go that route. It is not that I have become a Christian or whatever and born again or whatever. Let's not go that route. That's the trench crap, those kind of stuff. Now, let's get back to serious talk here. So they put there in the Kaichor News, she's holding David Granger's hand, and they're going to the latrine pit, the latrine, in the latrine. No women organization or nothing, or these so-called fighters for democracy, none of them said anything. None of them, not even Freddie Kissoon, not even Priya Manichan, none of them. Absolutely none of them. And I'm just kind of reminding you guys, right? I'm kind of reminding you guys about what really transpired. Now, let me address this person, Roxanne Bacchus, RB. Good evening to you, Roxanne Bacchus, RB. Whoever you are, I know your intention is good, and I thank you so much for listening to this program. If I can just give you a lovely smile, I'll do just that. But let me say something. Roxanne Bacchus, RB, is saying, Mr. Benchop, why are you giving Freddie Kissoon attention? Oh my gosh. Sorry that I'm sounding like Reverend Brown. You know that Reverend Brown from Queenstown Church? Nice guy. But I attended his church a couple of times when I was in Guyana. And it's something about him and well, most preachers go like that. I'm not laughing at preachers. Right. So, Roxanne, you have a point, right? Well, let me say something. One of the things that we do is when people like Freddie and all these people, when they attack people, we oftentimes love to dismiss it and say, no worry, this body crazy. Just ignore. We keep ignoring and ignoring and ignoring. We've got to be able to lash back. We've got to lash back. Lash. We've got to lash back. We can't sit down and accept these things, because more and more they write these things, people are going to begin to believe them. So we must nip it in the bud. ASAP. We can't procrastinate on these things and say, oh, don't give this body time, oh, this body that. Oh. No, we can't. And we shouldn't. Roxanne Bacchus, good evening to you. We shouldn't. And that's the problem. We got to lash them back. It is because we don't lash them back. That is why they feel that it could keep slapping us all across our head. Every day they're writing nonsense. Every single day they're writing and writing and writing. We've got to write back. Allison Richards, how are you? We've got to write back. We've got to lash back. Serious lashes. As Lemon, my friend, would say, lash back. As simple as that. So let me stop this thing off, ignore this body and ignore the body. You know, oops, oh man. This is in Afghanistan. And that guy that is sitting there, he is set to become, if I'm not mistaken, the next president of Afghanistan. Oh yeah. And there's a reason why I'm talking about him for a couple of minutes. Because he was released from prison. He's a co-founder of the Taliban. He was in prison. And sometime in November or October of last year, when the Republican Trump administration negotiated his release from prison, Mike Pompeo was there in Afghanistan to receive and welcome him out of prison. And I'm just saying that because I want to say it, right? I'm just saying that because I want to. Oops. There goes Irfan Ali and Mike Pompeo. There goes Irfan Ali and Mike Pompeo. And when I read what Mike Pompeo did in terms of releasing, or the Trump administration worked in the release of this guy, you guys got the drift, right? You got the drift. And this guy, Irfan Ali, and this guy, all right, you guys got the drift. Let's move on. What else is there that we want to discuss? And oh, my executive producer has just reminded me that this was a protest. That guy, look, Freddie Kissoon is there. Look, Freddie Kissoon is there. This guy, Freddie Kissoon and others, they were protesting in front of the, I believe this was either 2000 and early part 2015. They were protesting in front of the United States Embassy. Oh yeah. Calling on embassy officials to sanction some of the ministers then of the PPP regime. And all of them are back there in office. And that guy that I circled there in the red is Freddie Kissoon. They're in front of the U.S. Embassy, calling for the embassy to sanction and strip them. They're claiming that Guyanese democracy is stripped naked by the PPP. Talk about hypocrisy? Yes, in front of the U.S. Embassy, they were there protesting against those dictators in office. Donald Ramotar, Jack Deo, all of them. And at that time, Irfan Ali was going on with his antics as, what was he? Minister of Housing. Oh, yeah. Good evening to you, Freddie. Good evening to you. Let's move away from Freddie for a quick minute. Our operator wasn't supposed to show that as yet. How dare you, operator? You want to get knocked off from this little walk? You know we don't knock people off, right? But let's go back to this photograph. Now, let me test you guys a little. This was in State House. It was when Jack Dale was quote unquote head of state. Let me see if you guys recognize. I'll go to the comment section now. Do you guys recognize anybody here at all in this group? Let me see if some of you human rights activists are there who knew what was happening on the ground. On the ground, right? Let me see if some of you guys know your thing, so to speak, on the ground. I'll give you guys about a minute or so. And I just want to thank all of you on the ground who are tuned into 107.1 FM on the ground. Ingrid King, yes, we do know that that is Jack Dale. Miss Booker said Bundari. But do you know these people? Somebody said Notorious B.I.G. Right? No, Janet Jagan is not in this picture, man. Don Johnson, that guy looking like a wannabe Notorious B.I.G. You know some of them. That big fat guy there is Axel Williams' brother. The guy that is hugging Axel Williams' brother and that short guy that looks like C.N. Sharma but is not C.N. Sharma, right? Okay, I noticed something here. Keith Icy Don Henry Sr. You got it, bro. You got it. And there's a reason why I'm showing this. St. Romain Adams, Kazerki. All right. You guys know exactly what is happening. And why am I showing this photo? Paula Niles, no, that is not Sharma. That is not, and I'll say this straight. That is not C.N. Sharma. Melissa April is saying Jagdeer and his Phantom Boys. Now, the guy in the middle of Biggie Smalls wannabe and the guy that looks like Sharma but is not Sharma, the guy, that reddish looking guy, his name is Mark, I'm sorry, Mark, they call him Kazerki, right? Kazerki. He was charged back in 2003 or late 2002, along with Sean Hines, for killing the Bacchus brothers. Now, when Kazerki was arrested, both he and Sean Hines, when the magistrate remanded them to prison, Sean Hines made it to prison. But Kazerki, the guy, that reddish guy in the middle there, that is standing with his arm next to Jack Dale, right? You see his arm? You see he's hugging Jack Dale? Well, he was a killer. He was a killer. Mark Thomas, also known as Kazerki. Now, Kazerki ended up, well, he fainted. Because remember, not a lot of people can go to prison, they can't take it, and y'all can see, but they can't take it. Them is soft boys. Them is rice pop. All sorts of things. They cry like girls. But so that guy, Kazerki, couldn't make it to prison. He fainted. He bawled. He started holler. And so he ended up in, where is it he ended up? And the Georgetown Public Hospital. The Georgetown Public Hospital. He ended up. And when he was there at the Georgetown Public Hospital, right? Whilst he was there at the Georgetown Public Hospital, the Minister of Health was a guy named Leslie Ramsamy. Leslie Ramsamy was the Minister of Health. And under Leslie Ramsamy's tenure there, or during his tenure, lots of people died under questionable circumstances. Look at Jack Dale and all these guys. Look at them hugging. Look at them. Now, this guy is the guy, Mark Thomas, aka Kazerki, who is seen there hugging Jack Dale too. His hand, look, his hand is around Jack Dale's shoulders. You can see it, hugging, tickling up Jack Dale. This is him. This is the guy here. That's Mark Kazerki, right? He was the manager of a hotel that was said to have been a torture den where people were taken there, tortured, and allegedly killed. Look at what he's holding there. He's not holding a tutu in his hand, you know. Let me see if some of you guys know your guns, man. Right? That is an AK-47. The other gun on the ground, one of them is a 38. The other one looks like a 9s. And that other one looks like that can be a 2.5 or whatever. I don't know, man. You guys know your guns. Let me see if you know your guns. But these are the people. These are the folks Jack Dale and his crew associated with. Oh, yes. Desiree Alert. This guy, let me get back to this guy. It seems as though all y'all know is only AK-40. What about them small, pishing, wing, wing, wing kind of guns on the ground? Pishing, wing, 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 right? That's a 38. Could be a 9s, could be whatever else, right? Now, this guy, Mark Kazerki, died at the Georgetown Public Hospital under questionable circumstances. Under questionable circumstances. Because the powers that be were a bit jittery. Here is why they were jittery. This guy couldn't take the prison. He couldn't take lockup. He couldn't take lockup at all. He couldn't take lockup. He was crying like a little, I can't go to jail. I can't. But yet, look, then these guys supposed to be bad boys, you know. Bad boys. But can't take lockup, can't take prison. And so the folks who were his handlers, guess what? They realized that he is a potential snitch. Because if he can't take the lockups, then he's going to start to snitch. And so they found a way to kill him. He died at the Georgetown Public Hospital. There he is there again with Jack Dale. Yup, there he is with Jack Dale. Whoever that little piece man is. Little piece man is, right? Is not Sharma. But look at them. Look at them. Look at him. Died under questionable circumstances. He was the manager of Aubrey's wine bar. Destroyed the man's business. I don't know where Aubrey is, but they destroyed the man's business. It became a killing den. That is what it became, a killing den. Oh, gosh, this place is hot. And now these are the folks who are back in office, again, under questionable circumstances. And they're flying around the place. They're meeting with people, whether in Texas, whether in Florida, wherever. And people are of the view that, oh, this guy, Jack Dale, is such a smart businessman. He's such a smart politician. No, he's not. Maybe if the opposition was upping their ante more and more at every level, not just one level, go to the Square of the Revolution every Wednesday or whatever else, pick up a placard, not just that. They need to up their ante in an international standpoint as well. Lots of things they need to do. And CARICOM, the level of CARICOM also, all over. Because when the PPP, when those folks were in the opposition, they weren't sleeping. Every opportunity they got, they spoke and they spoke and they spoke and they spoke. And they spent less time fighting down each other. It's not to say that they were not fighting each other. It is not to say that they didn't have grass knife and wanted to cut each other's throat. They were doing that. But they were doing that little of the time they spent doing that. More of the time they spent fighting the APNU AFC government. This government, this opposition has got to wake the hell up and talk their stories properly. You need individuals who have what it takes to talk the story, not just for talk's sake. They must know what they're talking about when they present or when they talk to individuals in international quarters and all of these things. This thing is not just to sit down and sip and chat. It is not about that. Politics is serious business. And those of you in the opposition, if you're into politics, let me remind you guys that it is serious business. You cannot allow a kunumunu like Jack Deere to be walking around and traveling around Texas and these places and getting proclamations, whether he's paying for them or not. It's good PR. It's good PR. That is why you guys have to counter it. Not just counter it by a simple email or a letter. You have to counter it. The PPP went out and got a lobbying firm. You guys in the opposition got to go out and do the same. This is not about sitting down and only complaining and complaining and complaining and complaining and complaining and think that things are going to get better. It's not going to get better. Your supporters deserve better. Now, I've noticed, which is good, that some members of the coalition, some members of the coalition are talking about the things that they did. I'm talking about the officials of the coalition, some of them, and rightly so. But why should they now take this time out to explain to people what they did? To explain to the supporters that this is what they did, this is what they did, this is what they did. One of the things that they should have done, but they didn't do because they had, I was going to use another term, begins with P, poor public relations, poor PR. Those are things that they should have been highlighting all the time throughout their administration, that this is what the government is doing, this is what APNU AFC government is doing, this is what they have achieved. Every time you do something, let the people see. Talk about what you're doing every single day. Talk about it. Don't be ashamed to talk about it. But now a lot of them are talking about it. Oh, we did this and we did that, and we did this and we did that, and we did this. Of course you did that. But people, a lot of your supporters, coalition, found out after that, oh my gosh, I didn't know you guys were doing all of these things. And trust me, they've done a lot, a heck of a lot, far more than the PPP regime ever did in its 23 years, far more. But one of the weaknesses of the coalition is they didn't have a proper PR team. And they still don't. They're running helter-skelter all over the place. People want to see a plan. People want to know that you guys are prepared to take back government. And I'm optimistic that you will take back the government. But y'all got to do more. Y'all got to act. Leadership got to step in. Leadership. On the 5th of Oh, I thought it was almost October. But on the 5th of October, the PNC will be celebrating an anniversary. 60 years or something like that. You guys do the math. Come on, folks. You can do better as an opposition. You can do better. Stop the fighting. Stop the what is it, the backbiting with each other, and who could outrun each other, and who can send out a press release more than each other, and all these things. Stop the nonsense. They have some shadow ministers who should be shadowing. We hardly hearing from them. They're quiet as a mouse. And when you talk, they're vexed. You have your constituency to represent. Go out and represent your people. Go out and support your people. Don't just urge them to just pick up a placard and protest on a Wednesday, or Tuesday, or a Thursday, or whatever. Your people are going to be tired. They got to get a piece of the pie. And that is why I'm saying the leadership got to get together. They got to get together. They got to shake hands. They got to start talking to each other. How the hell you guys are so divided? You don't want to talk to each other, but you want unity. It is not going to happen. It is not going to come that way. Oh, Father, help me. Gosh. What time is it? 1 minute after 10 o'clock. 1 minute after 10 o'clock. They have something else that I wanted to bring to your attention. Once I spoke of the coalition getting their act together. They really have to get their act together, man. You know, too many of them all over the place. All over the place. You hardly hear from them. You know, and good night to my friend. Good night to my friend. Mr. David Granger, good night, sir. Mr. Harmon, good night. Ms. Valda Lawrence, the chairman of the party, good evening to you. Ms. Valda Lawrence, good evening. Good evening to you guys. I don't know, man. I don't know. Some other important stuff I wanted to bring to your attention. What is it? COVID-19, right? About less than 10% of the people of Linden, less than 10% of them have taken the vaccine. Pfizer is going to be in, what's it, in Guyana as of September. Johnson & Johnson, 36,000 in Guyana. The one shot, one dose. I don't know. I can't tell people what to do with their bodies. But I know I took the vaccine. I know members of my family took the vaccine. Almost all of them that I spoke with. Inside and outside. Friends I know took the vaccine. Nothing is wrong with the vaccine. Nothing is wrong with being vaccinated. And I'm talking directly to the people of Linden. Nothing is wrong with that. But I've noticed some people who don't understand science, for the most part, are the ones who are telling people not to take the vaccine or to be apprehensive in taking the vaccine. Of course, people have issue with governments, whether in Guyana or wherever, forcing people to take the vaccine, especially vaccines that are not approved by the World Health Organization, Sputnik V, etc., etc. But even the Sputnik V, a lot of politicians in Guyana have taken the Sputnik V and they're still alive. You guys, don't be bullied by a regime into taking vaccines that are not approved by the World Health Organization. You have a right not to be bullied, but you have a right to stay alive. You have a right to protect your loved ones. And if the vaccines can do that, get the vaccine. Be vaccinated. 10% of you guys in Linden. Look, I'm from Linden, man. I have a lot of friends and relatives still in Linden. None of us want anything to happen to our friends and relatives. Absolutely none of us. And if you can find a way to be protected, then be protected. The vaccine doesn't. The vaccine doesn't protect you overall from that. Right? The vaccine doesn't, sorry, I'm looking at some of your comments here. Right? Let me see. Renee Mackenzie Talbot, St. Mark Pen Shop. People are not questioning the vaccination. What they're questioning is the Sputnik V. I got you, my friend. I got you. And I am also questioning the Sputnik V. Some of the politicians, some of them in the opposition said they took the Sputnik V and they're still alive. Now, people have a right to choose what vaccine they want. In the US, we go wherever. I took the Moderna. I took a chance with the Moderna. Other family members took the Moderna. Some took Pfizer and some took Johnson & Johnson. You have a choice. And all of those vaccines have been approved by the World Health Organization. Pfizer is fully approved as of today, fully approved. Maybe Moderna and Johnson & Johnson next. Oh gosh, the vaccine. You guys, just protect yourself. It doesn't save you from getting COVID, but if you are to get COVID, you stand a better chance of surviving. Having said that, I want to wish Jesse Jackson, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, and his wife a speedy recovery. Reverend Jesse Jackson is fully vaccinated, but he tested positive for COVID-19. His family, his son Jonathan Jackson, is saying that his mother and his father are recovering well. All right, so Vincent Cornelson and others, all I'm saying to you guys, protect your families. Lindeners, Pfizer is in the country, or should be by September. Johnson & Johnson is there. Protect yourselves. Protect yourselves. Because I know a lot of people who have acquired the COVID-19, tested positive. A lot of them regret that they haven't taken the vaccine. Again, I'm not anti-vax. I'm just saying it's your choice whether you want to take it or not. I do hope that you guys will have good sense prevail and take it. I can't speak for the Sputnik V, but this Pfizer and the Johnson & Johnson will be in Guyana. I hope it is sufficient for all those who haven't taken the vaccine to take it. But don't be forced to take vaccines that are not approved by the World Health Organization. You have a right not to accept that. I understand the struggle. I understand what some of you guys are objecting to. So don't get me wrong on that. Let me see what somebody here is saying. Somebody's saying, so you saying taking the job is the only way to protect your family, taking the job. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I have said on numerous occasions that is your choice, right? That is your choice. And if you want to protect your family by wearing masks and not going anywhere, well, so be it. But a lot of people have taken a chance in terms of be vaccinated, and it protects your family even more, by far more than if you're not vaccinated. That's just my opinion, mind you. All right? All right, so it's 9 minutes after 10 o'clock, somebody's saying, hey, Mark, change the topic. Monifa Gills, change the topic. COVID is deadly. And people are debating whether to be vaccinated or not. We have lost so many loved ones and friends and families. I can speak of my family as well. Friends have died as well. It's not a topic that should be changed just like that. Let's move on. Monifa Gills, I'll give you a chance. Change the topic to what? What do you want me to talk about before I leave this evening? Tell me. I'm waiting on you, Monifa. You tell me what next you want, since you want me to change the topic about vaccine and COVID-19. What else you think I should talk about? Look, Abby Hawker, all I can say is I'm no scientist. I'm no medical expert. I'm just giving you a layman's opinion about the vaccine and that I took the vaccine. I took a chance. And it's up to people to take that chance. But if you're going to take a chance, take vaccines that are actually approved by the World Health Organization. That is all I'm saying. I'm not saying go and everybody, you go and take the vaccine, carry your whole family and take. No, people have a right to be cautious. People have a right to read. They have a right to listen to the experts, mind you. The experts. Right? That is all I'm saying. Somebody wants me to talk about salary raise, the promotion of the fire service. Well, we know that is racism that is going on. We know what they're doing. They want to control the police force, the army, the fire service. Soon they're going to want to control Uncle Eddie's home. They're going to want to control the Palms. They're going to want to control strip clubs. Everything they're going to want to control. They might want the guys them at the cathedral to walk around with identification cards, label them, proper one and proper two. All right, I've got to go. Proper one and proper two. I'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time. We'll end on that. Note. Right? God bless you, and God bless that beautiful country. See you tomorrow. Proper one and proper two. I love you guys. So long.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cockacrow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cockacrow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cockacrow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now a come home. Inaga, jackass yard for fetchy load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokonani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Bangameri. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house from straw. Two who come later.
It's hard, it's hard, it's hard to be at peace with the ones who are so discard. It's hard, it's hard, it's hard. Them have a knife in your back and them smile it so broad. Help me to deal with the ones them who say them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd a shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Cause the booby traps with them set is real. I never want to take your glory, Lord. Send your angels to encamp around about me and stand guard. To envy is so easy and to love it is so hard. Let me work for your glory and not for the award. Don't make me ever get caught up in the scream and the applause. And go talk about the blessing and not talk about the Lord. All these things are vanity. I need your reward. Let me be real. Don't put on no facade. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd a shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Cause the booby traps with them set is real. Sticks and stones can break my bones and words can harm me. They can harm me. When the evil come against me, you'll protect me. You'll protect me. Father, I need the strength of your son. Cause you know my work is not done. Lord, I need that endurance just to finish this race that I run. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. And help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd are shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Cause the booby traps with them set is real. You tell me to stand firm. Cause every little plan you have a confirm. I know them evil plan turn. In a darkness me a the lantern. So help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Jesus, help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd a shout. Help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Cause the booby traps with them set is real. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd a shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield.